Greensboro, North Carolina for day 2 of the ACC tournament. Day 1 brought some big moments, some buzzer beaters. Day 2 sure to deliver as we have a handful of teams not just trying to win the ACC tournament, but living life on the bubble right now, trying to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive. 4 games today starting at noon, but Nothing But Net starts right now. What's going on? Welcome into Nothing But Net alongside Dallin Cuff, Carlos Boozer, and Luke Hancock. I'm Kelsey Riggs, set for a full day of action on day 2 of the ACC tournament. Syracuse and NC State going head-to-head under 25 minutes right here on ACC Network. And a lot on the line in this game. Every game is a big one, but especially when it's a bubble game, because Syracuse, according to Joe Lunardi, currently among the first 4 out. A win today could really boost their chances, according to ESPN's BPI. Syracuse has a 60% chance to make the tournament, and with a win, that chance would jump up to 88%. NC State also trying to play their way into that bubble conversation. But here is ESPN bracketologist Joe Lunardi on what this game means for the teams today.
This Syracuse-NC State matchup is what championship week is all about. It's not a play-in game for the NCAA tournament, but it is a play-out for the loser, especially if the loser is the Wolfpack, the weaker resume of the two. The winner keeps its at-large hopes alive for at least another day, and that's what we'll be watching for over the next 40 minutes. Back to you.
Joe, thanks so much. I think that's going to be the theme for quite a few of our games today. You need to win to keep those tournament hopes alive, and obviously.
The calm before the storm here? These guys are so chill. It's game day, baby. We got to play.
They got 23 minutes. They're waiting. They're getting ready for all the NC State fans that, as I think it was Luke or Booze mentioned, could potentially pop into the stadium. Luke, when you look at this game and what's on the line for both teams, this is a big moment, especially for Syracuse. What do you want to see from them?
Yeah, I want to see it on the defensive end. That zone causes all kinds of problems, but it's actually pretty good when you look at the matchups for NC State. You got Jericho Hellams playing in that high post. They've got great finishers around the rim, and some of their guards are starting to knock down shots. For Syracuse, keep the turnovers low. You got to focus in on the defense, and then it's just a matter of who's going to show up and start knocking down shots. One night it's Buddy, one night it's Joe, one night it's Alan Griffin. They got shooters all around. I expect Syracuse to come out totally focused, but this game is going to be an awesome start to the day because both these teams have been very hot lately.
Games of consequence. That's what March is all about. And this is a game of consequence, as you just heard Lunardi just say. It's a play-out game. When you look at the last 4 in, and the first 4 out, what people have to keep in mind, though, we keep saying, what does Syracuse have to do to get in? What does NC State have to do to get in? You got to win, but it matters what happens around you. What is a good situation for Syracuse is Drake can't improve their resume anymore, neither can St. Louis, and St. Louis is out right now per Lunardi. Memphis hasn't started their tournament yet. Boise State, Colorado State, Utah State, all in the same conference in the Mountain West. Boise State starts their action tonight against Nevada. Xavier takes on Butler tonight. So when you focus, think about the game today. Obviously, the winner then is turning their attention to the rest of what's going on around them in the bubble. I think they're in a good situation because Cuse, if they get a win in particular, or NC State, they have the chance to play UVA. It's about building your resume. That's the best quality win any team on that board can get is a win over UVA. So you have opportunity when you play in these high major conferences, but you got to win today. And Luke's right. The zone is going to be important. They got to take care of the ball, the Wolfpack. They did not do that the second meeting. They have to play like they did the first 20 minutes they played in the first game where they really carved them up.
And Booze, Syracuse 2-0 versus NC State this season. That's going to be the theme of a couple of the games that we talk about today. But also, how tough is it to go out and beat a team 3 times in the same season?
Yeah, it's difficult. You know, both teams are very familiar with each other. The more you play a team, it's almost like an NBA playoffs or what have you. You play them more and more and more, you get more used to what they run, what the players like to do, and you want to force them toward their weaknesses. And I remember the year that we won the championship in 2001, we played Maryland 4 times that year. So we kind of had that same experience that's going to happen today with multiple matchups today. So for these guys, it's win or go home. That's what it is. It's win or go home. So all the X's and O's to the side, who wants it more? That's what day 2 is about right now.
The energy that Boost brings as it like kind of builds up, and he's like, this is it. Like this is what we need. You need that inside your locker room. As we get closer to tip off between NC State and Syracuse, as mentioned, these two teams have already played twice this season. Syracuse won both games, but they were decided by single digits. A lot on the line as both of these teams trying to keep the NCAA tournament hopes alive. We are not done here just yet. When we come back, an NC State legend joins the show. Julius Hodge will be with us. And speaking of Wolfpack legends, today would have been Jim Valvano's 75th birthday. Here's a look back at his team's run in the '83 ACC tournament.
Survive and advance. That mantra began at the 1983 ACC tournament. Jim Valvano and NC State were the 4 seed. But the Pack knocked out top-seeded North Carolina and Michael Jordan in the semis. And then 2-seed Virginia and Ralph Sampson in the finals.
7 seconds on the shot clock. Wittenberg puts it up and drops it in.
Oh, when they start to fall like that, Jim, you start to think Cinderella, upset city.
And it was upset city. From there, NC State would go on its magical run to the 1983 National Championship.
Welcome back into Nothing But Net. Just about 16 minutes away from tip-off between NC State and Syracuse. Big-time bubble matchup as DJ Funderburk and NC State trying to play their way into the conversation to be in the NCAA tournament and, of course, hopefully go on to win the ACC tournament. Speaking of NC State, when you take a look back at most points in ACC tournament careers, take a look at who is number one on that list for NC State's greats. Julius Hodge, 192 points in the NCAA tournament. He is the two-time first-team All-ACC, the Player of the Year in 2003 and 2004, and has over 2,000 points in his career at NC State. And right now we are so excited to welcome in Julius Hodge. Julius, thanks so much for the time. We've been talking a lot about this matchup between Syracuse and NC State, and we hit a lot on Syracuse. So I want to start with what you think the Wolfpack, how they're looking right now coming into this game on a 5-game win streak.
Well, thanks for having me, Kelsey. I'm gonna give a shout out to my man Booze, trying to defend Jay Williams.
Julius, what's up, man?
And go over the top of a Carlos Boozer screen is impossible. It's not gonna happen. Cool Hand Luke, I got a good story for you. When you guys won your championship at Louisville, you had a teammate, Russ Smith Jr. His dad, Russ Smith Sr., was my first ever basketball coach. First guy to put the ball in my hands and say, I don't care how tall you are, you're a guard. So that's my guy.
I love it, Big Russ.
Played you guys my senior year in the Garden, my homecoming back to the city, my only game in New York City in my career, and you guys almost beat us, Columbia, in Madison Square Garden. So it's good to see you guys.
Julius, I'm glad you remember that because I've told that story 9,000 times, how short we came there. So I'm glad you remember it too.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there's a photo, Dow.
There we go. I don't think I made that shot, but good closeout, Jay.
Good stuff. But basically, to get to the Wolfpack, the 3 keys to victory that I see is, number one is they have to feed the sweet spot. You have to get the ball into Helms at that sweet spot, at the nail spot in the middle of the zone, because Syracuse in their infamous 2-3 zone, it looks more like a 4-1 because those wings are so high up on the perimeter. So if you're able to get the ball there in the sweet spot, Helms has to catch it in the same motion, be turning and facing the basket. Then he'll have Funderburk or he'll have Manny Bates right under the basket. My second key is you have to embrace the trap. So whenever you throw the ball in the short corner against the Syracuse zone, and Washington runs it a lot also because Coach Haupt, who was at Syracuse for all them years with Coach Boeheim, they're going to trap that pass with the center and with that high wing. So once you get that ball, whether it's Bates or it's Funderburk, you have to be looking at your partner diving from that nail spot. If he's not opening the front of the basket, then you'll have to skip to the opposite wing for an open 3. All right. And then the last one, my last point is you have to follow the recipe. All right. Coach Keats and staff, they have a great plan. And in the first game against the Orange, they were able to get the ball into Helms at the sweet spot. He made shots. He made the passes to Manny Bates, who had a career game with over 17 points, 13 rebounds, and, he blocks every shot. So you have to continue to follow the recipe. You don't want to shoot a lot of long three-pointers. You want to get the ball into that sweet spot where Syracuse, for that split second, there's a 2-on-1. You get it there, then you can have a lot of success.
Hey, Julius, well said, man. Those 3 keys are great. I see the coaching, you got that down to a T, bro, for real. What I want to talk about, take our viewers and our listeners back in time, what it's like to play in the ACC tournament. You had so much success, obviously, and give these listeners what it was like to play in the ACC when you were in it.
So it's so memorable. I mean, you're playing, and I'm an old timer, but I feel like the ACC tournament should be in Greensboro all the time, every year. But I'm gonna leave it alone. But just playing there in front of the crowds, and obviously with the pandemic, it's different. It's not going to be as many fans out there, if any. But just being out there in those moments, making big shots, playing against your teams, Booze, great Maryland teams, great UNC teams, is definitely something to behold.
Julius, you obviously were in the
Coach
San Jose
Hodge,
State.
I love
Oh, sorry, Luke, go ahead, man.
My bad, Dallin. Coach Hodge, I was going to ask you, you've had career highs in the ACC tournament. You've done so well there. You got to take yourself into the locker room. Obviously, you're coaching now. You've learned tons of lessons from Herb. What's that pregame speech like, getting these guys ready to go and focused on this big moment?
When you're playing in the ACC tournament, you know what? The guys don't need any motivation for that. The guys are already pumped. We're ready to go. But you just have to hammer down your keys to success. And if you're able to get that ball in that sweet spot, I know you're going to be tempted. You feel like you're open, but with the Orange, they have 6'7", 6'6" forwards like Boeheim and like Griffin who are going to be contesting those long three-point shots. You have to get the ball in the sweet spot, and you have to have those 2-on-1 moments. And if you're able to have success there, then they can win the game. Both games this season against the Orange with the Wolfpack have been close games, and it came down to the last 4 and 5 minutes.
Julius Hodge, the NC State legend, also, as we mentioned, now an assistant coach at San Jose State. You've got a game this afternoon, 2 o'clock versus Wyoming, so good luck to you, and thanks for the time on game day. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We are just under 10 minutes away from tip-off. NC State and Syracuse. We will get you ready for the full day, especially this game when we come back. Up next, we are just minutes away from tip between NC State and Syracuse. First game of the day, first time we'll get a look at both of these teams. Quincy Guerrier trying to do what he can for the Orange. And Booze, as we get just about 2 minutes away from tip-off, what's your key to the game for this matchup between NC State and Syracuse?
I think the team that keeps their turnovers low and the team that dominates the glass wins the game.
All right, Booze, with that in mind, it is time to make our picks because we are just under 2 minutes away from tip. Dallin, who do you have, NC State or Syracuse?
Cuse, tight one. I think they make enough shots, but to Booze's point, got to take care of the rock. I'm not sure the young guards for the Wolfpack are going to do it at the level necessary. Tight game. Cuse gets the huge W.
Luke, how about you?
NC State's won 5 straight. We had the legendary Julius Hodge on. That's all good juju for NC State. I think they find a way to get it done. Just circle that free throw line area. Syracuse has to keep it out. Jericho Helms has to do a great job facilitating from that high post area, free throw line area.
Booze, you're the deciding factor. I just want to point out that yesterday you and Luke were perfect, and Dallin, you were not quite perfect. You did lose one game.
Booze.
Sorry, Dal. What you got, Booze?
I got NC State, man. I think it's going to do a good job against the zone. I think the zone definitely causes problems. But I got those young guards playing great today. I think we saw a lot of young guards yesterday play great as well. I think that momentum continues, and NC State, in a slim victory, advances.
Dallin,
My opportunity, baby.
The Lone
Door's
Ranger
open.
over here.
Syracuse, walk through that door.
To do that, Dallin, we heard Booze's key to the game. What is yours for Syracuse to come out on top and get the win?
It is going to be in the defensive end. If they can protect the paint. Everybody said the same thing. Julius Hodge said the nail, the ACC logo, whatever you want to say. Keep it out of there. Do what they did the final 60 minutes these two teams played, not the first 20 minutes where NC State got it in there and took full advantage.
We will see round 3 between NC State and Syracuse coming your way. Big time bubble matchup. Syracuse currently on Joe Lunardi's first 4 out, trying to play their way in. NC State trying to keep their name, get their name into the conversation. We will see you throughout the day, but first back here at the half. But right now we'll get you out to Greensboro Coliseum. Dave O'Brien.
Here we go. As good as these guys, you'd be having that much fun too.
I'm excited we got hoops. I'm getting goosebumps.
For the win! Reaching to the moon to stuff that through.
Okay, DJ.
And thunders it down.
These guys are having a ball. Here's the long one. At the buzzer!
ESPN's Champ Week continues from the New York Life ACC Tournament. From the Greensboro Coliseum today, second round action in the first of 4 games here today. The number 8 seed, the Syracuse Orange, taking on the 9th seeded Wolfpack of NC State. 2 teams come in here playing excellent basketball. The tournament got underway yesterday. The bottom 6 teams in the final regular season standings in action. The winners were Miami, Duke, and Notre Dame. Seeds 5 through 9 begin play today. Later this afternoon, Clemson and Miami. Tonight, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Louisville, and Duke. And the top 4 seeds got a double bye into tomorrow's quarterfinal round action. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Sean McDonough along with Corey Alexander. Delighted to have you with us for the start of a great day of college basketball. And Corey, it's a familiar spot for Syracuse once again on the NCAA tournament bubble. Right now, Joe Lunardi has them among the first 4 out. So this is a big game for them today.
It is, Sean, but no better place to get off that bubble than at the ACC tournament. A great opportunity in front of them with NC State, who's won 5 straight for the first time since 2003-2004. When you look at this Syracuse team, they can move up.
Jim Boeheim said, with all due respect to Joe Lunardi, he believes if the NCAA tournament began today, his team would be in. He is proud of their resume, but knows today is important. You talked about NC State. To me, it's remarkable what they've done. They lose 2 of their best players, their leader, Devin Daniels, and Kevin Keats reinvented his team. And as you said, they've won 5 in a row.
And the reinvention is playing bigger. They're doing a much better job inside the painted area. But the one team that has beat them in this reinvention is Syracuse. NC State looking for some get back after losing 2 to the Orange this year.
Starting lineups brought to you by CDW. They've won 5 in a row, and this is the 6th straight game with this starting lineup. Hayes, Sebron, Helms, Funderburk, and Bates. So they're trying to go to 6-0 with this unit, and they're off to a nice start as the first bucket of the game banged home by Manny Bates. Familiar starting 5 for Syracuse as well. Joe Girard, the point guard, with Buddy Boeheim. Come on with the shooting of late. Quincy Guerrier, Alan Griffin, and Marek Dolajai. Dolajai playing with an injured finger on his left hand that's hampered him lately, and Buddy Boeheim has the first 2 for the Orange.
And interesting to see early in this game, Manny Bates was the guy in the middle of that zone, but Kevin Keats' team will alternate his 2 bigs inside, but turning the basketball over was a problem for them against Syracuse this year.
Boeheim missed a 3. Dolajai went over the back and will get called for the foul. He's been foul prone lately. Ron Groover, Bill Covington, Mark Schnurr are the officials. Dolajai has had at least 4 fouls in each of the last 3 games. He fouled out at Georgia Tech, and not a lot of depth for Syracuse. These are essentially 2 7-man teams.
Yeah, both these coaches like to keep their rotation short and allow their players to play with freedom, especially on the offensive end of the floor, but asking a lot of them on the defensive end to stay out of foul trouble.
Cam Hayes, the freshman, knocks one home. He's excited to be playing in this tournament, particularly because it's in his hometown of Greensboro. He grew up not far from here. He came to games as a kid, but has never played in this building. They played twice in the regular season. Syracuse won both. They were both close, and Alan Griffin was the star of both Syracuse wins. He averaged 20.5 points per game in the two against the Wolfpack.
And Sean, there are certain teams that you have confidence against, and you know when you average 20 against a team, you're looking to have a big afternoon. I'm sure Alan Griffin is going to be very aggressive in this one.
And Kevin Keats said we made him take some tough shots, and he makes tough shots. Volleyball around the rim for NC State, and a foul call.
And great action. Alan Griffin just stepping into his shot, knocking it down, shooting the basketball very comfortably and confident. Same with Cam Hayes, who's been in double figures in his last 5 games, knocking down the 3 and playing much better down the stretch here of his freshman season.
Quincy Guerrier called for the foul for Syracuse, his first. Darion Sebron, long, redshirt freshman, sat out last year, has come on down the stretch. When they lost Devin Daniels to a torn ACL in late January as their leading scorer, team leader, several other players had to fill the void, and Sebron's a guy who's helped particularly lately. He was the freshman of the week in the ACC last week after a double-double at Notre Dame.
And Sebron didn't get out to blocks quickly this season, where Coach Keats and his staff is expecting a lot more of him as Guerrier knocks down the 3.
Much improved three-point shooter, 30%, but last year Guerrier was 3 for 25 from beyond the arc. Syracuse has won 2 in a row, 5 out of 7, just when it looked like they were dead and buried with an eye toward the NCAA tournament. They beat North Carolina and Clemson, 2 teams likely to be in the NCAA tournament. Jericole Helms missed a shorty, got his own rebound and scored.
And one of the issues for Syracuse, especially when you consider Dolezaj playing at the center position in that zone, is going to be rebounding. It's haunted him all year long. And off to a good start. NC State playing that big lineup with Bates and Funderburk on the front line.
Dolezaj nearly turned it over, rescued by Guerrier, and then he lost it to Helms. They have a man free down the court. It was Sebron. They find him now in the corner. Corey, talked to Kevin Keats yesterday about how do you play against this zone. He said you try to flash a man in the middle, and he essentially becomes the point guard right there. In this instance, it's Bates, but he said Helms will spend most of the day in that spot. And floater wouldn't go for Cam Hayes. More work on the offensive glass, and then Griffin a block shot.
And Sean, that's been the change for NC State. Kevin Keats likes to play 4 guards with Helms as that biggest guard, but now his best players are his front court guys, so he has to have those 3 forwards on the floor most of the time, which means that Helms can't spend as much time in the middle of that zone.
Helms fires a 3, great position inside, and the putback by Sebron. That's been a problem for Syracuse all year long, giving up offensive rebounds.
And you can see NC State very aggressive in attacking the offensive glass.
Lob to Guerrier, perfectly fed by Alan Griffin. And a back and forth start to this one. And immediate timeout. When we come back, Allison Williams joins us to tell us about NC State's unique Senior Day.
Welcome back to Greensboro. You know, every team this season has had their games impacted by COVID-19. For NC State, that meant having to cancel their senior day when opponent Virginia Tech was unable to play. But head coach Kevin Keats still wanted to pay a special tribute to the 3 guys that mean so much to this program. So he brought the team in, had them dress in their home whites, took them out to center court where they played video tributes. They had the PA announcer go through their accolades, had special messages from their families. It meant so much to Braxton Miller and DJ Funderbuck, Devin Daniels. They said they actually got emotional. And look, it was one of those moments that COVID-19 could have stolen away from these guys, but thanks to some creativity, it created the most unique senior day experience.
Well, it says a lot about Kevin Keats. It would have been easy to say, well, sorry, fellas, COVID made it impossible. It's probably more memorable than if they had the traditional senior night ceremony. Boy, they continue to do big work inside the Wolfpack. They have 4 offensive rebounds already, and a 1-point lead with 5 minutes gone by.
And since the injury to Devin Daniels, NC State averaging 34 points in the paint per game, and you see right now they're flexing their muscle against Syracuse in that painted area, also recognizing that Dolezaj has to stay on the floor, doesn't want to get in foul trouble as Girard's able to knock down the mid-range jumper.
Girard has not been as involved lately offensively for much of the year. All 5 starters averaged in double figures for the Orange. They were one of the very few teams in the country that could make that claim. Right now, Girard down to 9.5 points per game. Another offensive rebound there, 5th, but then Bates had it blocked by Guerrier and scooped off the floor by Dolezaj.
And Sean, I'm not sure if you paid attention to this, but wouldn't you have thought that Quincy Guerrier would have gotten a little more attention in the most improved voting this year when you consider what he's been able to do for Syracuse?
Yeah, there were so many players who were improved. Nice play here by Joe Girard, the little stop and go drive, and fouled by Cam Hayes. Nice. Fouled a few times, actually.
He did. Nice play by Girard. You mentioned hasn't been scoring at the same clip that we've gotten used to seeing him later in this year, but off to an aggressive start early, knocking down the mid-range and then attacking the paint.
Interesting. Jim Boeheim didn't have anybody in the lane, just didn't want to pick up any more front court foul trouble. Dolezaj will get a breather, and Jesse Edwards, who's come on down the stretch, 6'11" sophomore, comes in the middle of that zone. Braxton Beverly's come on for Coach Keats. Bates trying to work on Edwards, and the rebound down to Alan Griffin, who gives them 6.5 boards per game. Buddy Boeheim, much improved in that area, getting his own shot. He's become their leading scorer for the year at 16 per game, double figures in each of the last 7, 21 plus in 3 of those 7.
And you can see that Girard and Buddy Boeheim both like their matchup on the offensive end of the floor. Very aggressive to start this game.
Bodies flying everywhere and no whistle. Syracuse has opened up a 6-point lead. Edwards from the foul line, soft touch, but it wouldn't go.
But Buddy Boeheim is going to have the advantage height-wise over Shaquille Moore, and Buddy does a great job using his body, shielding off Shaquille Moore, and then getting to that mid-range, shooting over top of a smaller defender. And you think about what Buddy's been able to do over the last 5 games, 21 points per game, but the 46% from the field, and more importantly, 43% from beyond the three-point arc has really helped this Syracuse offense.
They counted the bucket for Edwards on a goaltend against the Wolfpack, so the Orange lead is 8. And NC State down by 8, even though they have dominated inside. And Edwards didn't think he fouled DJ Funderburk, but he'll get called for his first.
Well, Edwards definitely got a lot of basketball on that possession. Not sure if he got him low with the body. As Funderburk attacking the basket.
Oh, wow.
Not sure that's enough contact to be able to put Funderburk at the line. He missed that dunk, but give Edwards credit for contesting it.
Free throw pops out for Funderburk, redshirt senior. Cam Hayes returns. Fellow freshman Sebron gets a rest. Funderburk, in the words of Coach Keats, their most consistent player. Brings energy, excellent offensive rebounder. Spent 1 redshirt season at Ohio State and has been in Raleigh ever since. Girard, very aggressive to start this one, but missed the pull-up 3.
A confident shot by Girard, and one of the things, you know, Syracuse is a good pressing team. They don't use it normally until they get down, but because they're a good pressing team, that means they practice against it. They've handled the NC State press very well.
Edwards swatted the attempted scoop shot by Shaquille Moore, another freshman, and another player who's from Greensboro.
One thing you can't do in this game is play underhanded, because you try to underhand scoop shot against Edwards, it's more like a volleyball spike going into the stand.
Helms off the side of the backboard and retrieved by Quincy Guerrier. tough pass by Gerard. He was lucky to get it back from Boeheim. Boeheim open for a long three and gets a friendly hop off the rim. Timeout. Kevin Keats. 12-1 run for the Orange. ACC Network Basketball is brought to you by New York Life, helping people act on their love for 175 years. Friends, you can check out the ACC Championship Hub for everything you need to know about the ACC tournaments, including exclusive Chalk Talks, highlights, games, prizes, accessible from the ACC mobile app or accchamphub.com. Sean McDonough, Corey Alexander, and Allison Williams, delighted to have you with us. Second round action at the New York Life ACC tournament. Syracuse with a 10-point lead. They've shot 75% so far, 9 out of 12. That's Manny Bates making it an 8-point game.
And that's the second jump shot Manny Bates has made against the zone. But if you're Jim Boeheim, you will live with that being the shot that NC State has to take to beat you, especially when you consider Syracuse shooting the basketball so well and 50% from beyond the arc.
Guerrier already has 1 3. That one's way short, but rebounded by Alan Griffin, the transfer from Illinois. Buddy Boeheim, he's on fire of late and again this afternoon.
And Sean, you see bad body language from Kevin Keats every time Buddy Boeheim catches the ball in front of him with free airspace. And Buddy has made NC State pay multiple times for that same spot.
Shaquille Moore thought about a quick 3, but the Syracuse defense responded. And Moore fouled as he split Boeheim and Guerrier, and Quincy Guerrier's called for his second foul, so that's an early problem for Syracuse.
A nice find from Griffin. You see Kevin Keats just cringe when he sees Buddy Boeheim catch the basketball with that much space, and the reaction from his coach, priceless.
His coach, of course, is his dad, Jim Boeheim, who said he thought Buddy got off to a slow start shooting because he got hit hard by COVID early in the year, and it just took him a while to recover. He was lethargic, didn't have his legs when he returned to action. Now fully healthy. Here's Braxton Beverly with a 3. And he's now 1 point away from 1,000 for his career. The senior from Hazard, Kentucky. As Kevin Keats said, he's in his 10th year at NC State. He's one of those guys who it feels like he's been there forever.
It really is, and Braxton often plays like he has forever, but Buddy Boeheim right now is on fire. He doesn't even give us an opportunity to talk about anybody else, but he's knocking down another 3.
You could see the shoulder slump on Coach Keats. Buddy backed up from the line, and it still was like a layup for him, nothing but net. Shaquille Moore, that's a 3 from the corner. Shaquille told the coaches yesterday he's from a 2-minute drive from the Coliseum. He said, I could run home and back in 10 minutes. So a real thrill for him to play in the Coliseum. Syracuse bench thought Boeheim was hit on that 3-point attempt. Robert Braswell in the game. Edwards goes into the best shot blocker in the league in Manny Bates, who rebounded the Edwards miss. Beverly, that's 1,000 plus. 1,002 for Braxton Beverly. He's the 54th player in Wolfpack history to reach 1,000.
And after Buddy Boeheim started to put on a 3-point show, NC State getting involved in that as well. Braxton Beverly 2 3s, Shaquille Moore knocking down the 3. And the small contingent of fans here appreciating Braxton Beverly, the senior, who has used the week off from action to try to get healthy. And he looks healthy here to start the game.
217 career 3s on his way to 1,002 points. One more 3 and he'll tie Archie Miller, now the Indiana coach, for 4th all time in 3s made for NC State. NC State on the run. They were down by 11. Back within 5 with 8:47 to go in this first half.
And a great response by the Wolfpack after Buddy Boeheim continued to knock down 3 after 3. Give NC State credit for battling back on the offensive end of the floor.
Boeheim's already made 3 threes. Beverly trying to make his third. And a foul on Manny Bates on the rebounding activity as he went over the top of Jesse Edwards. First foul on Bates. Just the second team foul on the Wolfpack. Syracuse has been called for 4.
And both these teams only 1 turnover each so far in this game, when you consider that NC State thrives off of turnovers and forcing their opponents to give the basketball up so they can score points off those turnovers. Syracuse, of course, one of the teams that always leads the ACC in steals.
Tough shot by Griffin, way off. Retrieved by Edwards, and he got shoved. And if that's on Bates, that's 2 quick fouls.
And that's a play as Manny Bates. You just have to understand your importance to the team. You're not going to get that basketball.
Especially I gave it to Beverly on the late reach-in, although it did look like Bates made plenty of contact from behind. And you wonder if they took Bates out thinking that was his second foul.
I believe that was the case, and you see the conversation he's having with the coaching staff based upon that. Know your value. Stay away from any opportunity like that where you could pick up a ticky-tack foul because you're needed on the court.
Adari Richmond, the freshman guard in the game now. Had an excellent freshman season. Has been bothered by a very sore knee lately. Dolajai knocks one home from about 14 feet.
And Dolajai is going to get those opportunities. So much attention being paid to Buddy Boeheim. Oftentimes 2 defenders following Buddy when he has the basketball. Guys are going to get open shots. They're going to have to step up and knock him down like Dolajai did on that possession.
Nice ball movement around this zone. And Edwards called for a foul as he whacked Darion Sebron. 13 points already, averaged 16.5 in their 2 wins in the regular season against the Pack.
And of course, Sean, your buddy, my buddy, he's all about Buddy, and he is getting it done here early in Greensboro to start off his ACC tournament.
$11 tickets already punched to the NCAA tournament. There won't be any punch today. Congratulations to the Drexel Dragons. They're going to the tournament for the first time in 25 years. And how about Gonzaga completing the undefeated season into the NCAA tournament with their come from behind win last night against BYU. 25-0, just the 5th team to enter the NCAA tournament with an undefeated record.
And Sean, you know, Gonzaga reminds me a lot of the 1990-1991 UNLV Running Rebels, playing in a smaller conference, not getting tested during conference play. But Gonzaga did a great job in the non-conference, knocking off a number of very good teams and very poised to run the table. Shame they won't have the 40-0 title, but still undefeated national championship. I'm sure they'd be fine with that.
And Syracuse couldn't get the ball over in time against the pressure. Well, to amplify your point, Gonzaga outside the conference wins against Kansas, West Virginia, Iowa, and Virginia. And they beat BYU, an excellent team as we saw last night in their own conference, in the West Coast Conference. They beat them 3 times. Mark Few on his way to the Hall of Fame. Ball was poked away underneath by Braswell. Syracuse by 5. They were up 11. After an early flurry of threes, they've made 5 already. Richmond underneath for Edwards. In the lane a long time. Shot clock at 5. Richmond, the pull-up, well short, snatched by Edwards. He's from the Netherlands. His shot way off. A chance to make it a 1-possession game for the Pack. Helms inside, spinning like a top and called for a walk.
And swarming defense by the Orange. Guys retreating to shooters and also covering up the basket. And like the minutes that Edwards is giving Syracuse early in this game, not only to keep Dolajai out of foul trouble, but helping on the glass as well.
Boeheim, another 3. His 4th. He's 4 out of 6. He has 16 points.
And that's the danger of pressuring. When you press and you have a trap in the backcourt, there's always going to be someone open in the front court. And the problem for NC State, that person has been Buddy Boeheim, and he is making NC State pay every time he touches the basketball.
Baseline jumper wouldn't fall for DJ Funderburk. Edwards might have gotten away with a travel. The Wolfpack certainly thinks he did. He laid it in, and the lead back to 10 for SU.
So much attention being paid to Buddy. No one wanted to leave him, giving Edwards an opportunity to run right down the middle of the floor and catch for a layup.
So they're trying to flash Helms around that foul line. He was so effective in one of the games against Syracuse. He threw that one away. As we said earlier, Kevin Keats said whoever's in that position in the middle of the zone becomes the point guard.
In that position, and Helms did the right thing, but Sebron actually vacated his spot, which he should have had in a wide open three in the corner. He went for a lob. Helms automatically thinking he knows he's going to have an open guy in that corner, ends up with the turnover.
Helms at Syracuse January 31st, playing a lot of the game right around that free throw line in the middle of the Syracuse zone. At his first career double-double, 24 points, 10 rebounds. Richmond, another rebound by Edwards. Buddy Boeheim off the mark that time. Trying to make his 5th three of the half, and now he commits a foul as he collided with Cam Hayes. First foul on Boeheim, 6th on the team. The next one puts Syracuse over the limit.
I'm not sure if Buddy was more disappointed in the fact that he committed that foul or the fact he missed a wide open three.
I think he's in the zone now where he's surprised when they don't go in.
I would agree. I'm surprised that one didn't go in, especially as well as he shot it here to start this game.
Held ball, and it'll go over to Syracuse. Kevin Keats in his 4th season. They won at least 21 in each of his first 3. 13-9 this year, but of course a significantly reduced schedule due to COVID. He came under fire from a small but vocal group of fans not long ago. They had back-to-back really ugly losses against Syracuse and Duke. Committed 39 turnovers combined in those 2 games. It's almost as if the team rallied around him at that point. Boeheim a 2 from the free throw line. Largest lead now for Syracuse. They haven't lost since. They've won 5 in a row to quiet a lot of those critics.
And Sean, that same contention of critics are the people who wanted Kevin Keats to stop going and getting grad transfers and get freshmen that could grow up in the program. And that's exactly what he got. And that's what happens when you have freshmen. You have turnovers, you have inexperience, and you make those type of plays. Good thing that Coach Keats' team has rallied behind him and gotten them through that tough point.
Started 6-1, lost 8 of 10. Mentioned they lost Devin Daniels, or perhaps a discard there that Cam Hayes got away with and freed himself up for a 3. I mean, to rally back after losing your best player and then your second leading scoring guard and doing it. Oh boy, big collision there. And Buddy Boeheim hurt on the play. I think the foul is going to be on Cam Hayes. And it is.
Both guys going after the basketball, but you can see Cam Hayes initiate the contact. Buddy immediately grabbing that right knee.
Well, they have Guerrier playing with a sore knee. Richmond playing with a really sore knee. Dolajai playing with an injured finger on his left hand. It's that time of the year. If you're not a little beat up, you haven't been playing.
Oh, you see the left knee of Cam Hayes banging into Buddy's right knee.
Buddy moved crisply to the ball there, off a little curl. Under 4 to go in the first half. Dolajai turned it over. He thought Richmond was going to continue to cut to the basket. Richmond stopped. Richmond pointing at Dolajai and saying, "My bad." And I think Jim Boeheim agrees. ACC Network Basketball brought to you by Zaxby's. Hand-breaded chicken, fresh ingredients made to order only at Zaxby's. Three games yesterday in the first round. Miami, with only 6 scholarship players, had 5 men in double figures to beat Pitt. Duke, keeping its hopes for an NCAA tournament bid alive, made 15 threes as the Blue Devils dispatched Boston College, ending the Eagles season. And the game of the day, Notre Dame rallied from 16 down to beat Wake Forest on the shot by Trey Wirtz, set up by Cormac Ryan, who made a terrific play at the defensive end on the block, brought it down the court, and fed Wirtz. Play that reminded me of that Villanova winning shot, the national championship game against North Carolina. Found the trailer, hit a big three at the buzzer. That's Dolajai with a block, and NC State will play it in with 19 to go. It was a fun day yesterday. You and Dave O'Brien, by the way, fantastic job right here on ACC Network. You tired? You did 3 games.
Thank you. No, never tired. I get an opportunity to work with my guy S. Dot today. Come on, man. I'm excited coming in here. You mean tired? We can sleep when I'm dead.
Amen. Under 3.5 to go in the half. Syracuse has led virtually throughout. Strong drive, but Sebron couldn't finish. Richmond guarded by Beverly. And nearly a steal by Shaquille Moore.
Sean, Jesse Edwards has been a difference maker in this first half. When you consider the fact that, you know, he has slowed down what North Carolina State was doing on the offensive glass early in this game. 4 points for him also on the offensive end, but allowing Dolajai to get back out on the wing defensively is a big piece of what he helps with.
And helping keep Guerrier on the bench with his 2 fouls. 6 rebounds already for Edwards. Shot clock about to expire. Richmond a line drive.
One thing opposing guards look at when they play against NC State, they feel as though they can win their matchup against Braxton Beverly, a smaller defender, and Kadari Richmond at 6'5", 6'6", taking advantage of that.
Helms, Jericho Helms, has stepped up his scoring in the absence of Devin Daniels. He's their leading active scorer at 13 per game. Nice move by Dolajai. Had to adjust in the air to avoid 2 defenders.
But Dolajai gets a great run at the rim simply because there are 2 defenders guarding Buddy Boeheim. Buddy catches it, they want to give him extra attention. Buddy does a great job giving it up.
Beverly hit after the release by Richmond. And Jim Boeheim is going to give Richmond the hook. Joe Girard will return for the Hall of Fame coach, now in his 45th year as head coach at the Harvard of Central New York, Syracuse University.
I love it. You see Braxton Beverly raising up, and it wasn't contact on the shot, it was the landing where Richmond invaded Braxton Beverly's space.
This is going to sound like an alumni complaint, but that looked like a play on to me.
Well, you did just call Syracuse, you know, the Harvard of Central New York.
Well, that's in lieu of having to make donations to the alumni fund. I figure I'm doing my part for the PR of our great university on her hilltop high in Central New York, where Jim Boeheim has been on that campus since 1962. And to give you an idea how long ago that was the year I was born.
Okay, good to know.
Came there as a freshman. Has not left. Trying for a big win here today. I think a win here today, and they could pretty much book their trip to Indianapolis.
I would love for that to be the case. I think that Syracuse has had a very good season. You and I have talked about it off air about the fact they haven't had the bad loss this year. We've seen the bad losses at times from Syracuse, especially early in the non-conference. Not this season.
Buddy Boeheim, another bucket. He's up to 20 points. 20 plus now for the 4th time in the last 8 games. Corner 3 goes for Helms. We've seen some terrific shooting on both sides. NC State 6 out of 10 for 3. Syracuse 6 for 14.
But what NC State has been able to do during their 5-game winning streak is defend. Much better in the half court. But they have had no answer for Buddy Boeheim in this. As you mentioned, 20 first half points for the junior. And Buddy Boeheim who, when I watched him at the Albany City Rocks in the Nike EYBL back in the day, was only a shooter. You see now when teams run him off that three-point line, he has the ability to get to the mid-range score, also finish at the basket.
Under a minute to go in the half. Braxton Beverly doesn't want to be playing in his last game for NC State. He's been a force off the bench, 9 points. Pelham's tough fadeaway. Battle for it and put up and in by Darion Sebron. Syracuse can take it down close to the final buzzer of the half, and a timeout called by Jim Boeheim. Tomorrow, 2 great lacrosse matchups for you right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. 12th ranked Duke women squaring off against High Point. That's at 5 Eastern. Then on the men's side, number 2 North Carolina taking on 8th ranked Virginia in Charlottesville. That's at 7. Right here on ACC Network. Of course, the ACC, the premier conference in lacrosse. We'll see what Jim Boeheim dialed up. Probably take the clock down just about to the buzzer. Their largest lead was 12. NC State's made a couple of runs to tighten it up. They go to double Boeheim, who nearly turned it over. Good hands by Sebron. Shot clock at 1, and that should not count and does not count. Braswell the dunk off the Dolajai feed, but it was too late.
And NC State's team leaving the court, not recognizing that there's still a half a second remaining in the first half. But Dolajai, hard to tell if that was actually going to be a shot or a lob, but Braswell coming in and getting hands on it.
I think that was intended to be a lob, and they didn't have time to do that. Woo. Beverly the heave at the buzzer after Girard almost stole it. The half belonged to Boeheim the younger. He had 20 of their 43 points, 8 of 11, and 4 of 7 from 3.
Buddy getting it done at all levels when you consider the fact that he's able to attack the basket, shoot over top of smaller defenders. Of course, we know about his three-point prowess, and he's continued to find that spot right in front of Kevin Keats, also driving it into the lane, mid-range pull-up. Buddy Boeheim on fire here in this first half.
Here's Allison Williams.
Coach Keats, how do you find some answers defensively for Buddy Boeheim?
Yeah, we got to do a good job. We've let him get into a rhythm. He's having a game. Obviously, we knew they're coming in. He's been playing really good basketball. Our guys got to make him a little bit uncomfortable. He's getting shots that he normally would get, and that's not good for us. He's playing a great half.
You have cut their lead down to 5, though. What's been the key to some success you had in those stretches in the first half?
Well, I thought we played with energy. Absolutely, our defense wasn't that good, but we found a way offensively to stay in the game. Second half, we've got to do a way better job on the defensive end.
Coach Keats, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Sean.
All right, Allison, thanks. We'll take a break. When we come back, it'll be the halftime report with Kelsey Riggs, Luke Hancock, Carlos Boozer, and Dallin Cuff. Stay tuned.
Network halftime report alongside Luke Hancock, Carlos Boozer, and Dallin Cuff. I'm Kelsey Riggs. Syracuse with the 43-38 lead over NC State at the half. And Booze, we got to talk about Buddy Boeheim. Already has 20 points in the first half. His career high is 29. What's going right for Buddy?
Everything. Buddy is balling. Came out super hot, scorched. I think he's 8 for 11 from the field. His teammates are doing a great job of finding him. I felt like that trap, that full court press that NC State was doing was leading right into him stepping in jump shots. I know my man Luke would love that, Dallin too. All my shooters love to step into wide open jump shots, not even a contest on that last one. They're doing a great job of finding him. He's doing a great job of knocking a shot down, and he really is a mismatch because they usually have a smaller guy guarding him. He can just shoot over the top.
Yeah, usually you want to try and speed Buddy Boeheim up, try and get him to put the ball on the deck, but he's been great, scoring at every level. I agree with you, Booze. When you get in that press, when you start trapping, it usually leads to some open opportunities, but he got in such a flow early, you had to throw something at him to try and get his rhythm off. I mean, the closest defender for a couple of those shots might have been Kevin Keats. He was so wide open, and then his teammates, high IQ players, just keep finding Buddy and letting him take advantage over and over again. NC State has to do a better job just keeping him in front, making every shot contested and tough.
It wasn't just Buddy, though. Jesse Edwards, a freshman, gave good minutes. He's got 6 rebounds, 3 on the offensive end, 4 points early. Kadari Richmond did some things offensively and defensively that were pretty solid to come in. But NC State, I thought it was interesting, guys. They played Manny Bates at the high post a lot. And Bates is a big target. It's easier to get him the ball, but then he can't really facilitate that much in there, and he can't score from there. They have to rely on guys making shots, making plays from that spot. Right now, they made 6 threes, the Wolfpack. That's how they've stayed in the game offensively. They make 6 a game. So that's not exactly a live or die they want to have right now. They got to get guys in that high post that can operate and score and facilitate.
They were down by double digits at one point, Luke. Just a 5-point game right now. What else do you need to see, Luke, from NC State in the second half?
Well, I thought they actually put together a pretty solid first half. I agree with what Dallin said. I think you mix up who hits that high post area. I love Jericho Helms in their last game, knocking down shots and facilitating. Mentioned Manny Bates had a career high in that last game in that dunk spot down there on the block. You just got to be able to work in that high post area against the Syracuse zone. But again, I thought NC State came out with energy and effort. They let Buddy Boeheim get going and get himself in rhythm. But I think you tighten that up in the second half. This is obviously a different game. Nobody has more than 5 points for Syracuse outside of Buddy's big 20-point first half performance.
Syracuse 2-0 versus NC State this season. In the first 2 games, Buddy Boeheim had 16 points and 17 points. He's already got 20 at the half, so they are certainly going to key in on him, I'm sure, in the second half. But right now, Buddy Boeheim knocking him down for Syracuse. They've got a 5-point lead over NC State at the break.
Welcome back to ESPN's Champ Week. It's the New York Life ACC tournament from the Greensboro Coliseum, and in the first half of this Syracuse-NC State matchup, it was the Buddy Boeheim show.
Buddy Boeheim putting on a show, as you mentioned, letting Shaquille Moore know he's just too small, can't guard him in the post. Also, his ability to stretch it from beyond the arc, and you see those 4 made three-pointers all right in front of Kevin Keats. And you think about where he was able to get going offensively. That wing, as well as attacking the paint, Buddy Boeheim scoring at all levels, attacking the rim, getting it done in every form and fashion on the offensive end of the floor.
You said they were right in front of Kevin Keats. He kept slouching every time as if he couldn't believe he kept getting open and kept making those shots. You wonder what Coach Keats can try in the second half, because obviously it was on his mind in the first half. They still couldn't stop him.
Well, the good thing about Buddy is when he was getting double teamed, he was giving the basketball up, getting Dolajai, getting other guys opportunities. So whatever Coach Keats throws at Buddy Boeheim, I'm sure Jim Boeheim was well prepared. When you think 45 years, he's probably seen a little bit of everything.
Here's Allison Williams.
Hey there, guys. Syracuse really pleased with that offense in the first half. Of course, Buddy Boeheim spectacular, and they want to continue to really attack the NC State press. And they also have to make sure they're really paying attention to how they're playing on the boards. That's the one area where NC State does have a slight edge, out-rebounding Syracuse 17-15 in that first half. So they have to make sure they attack the boards and really try and limit any second chance points for NC State.
There was an early onslaught on the offensive glass for NC State, but Syracuse did a better job in the half. Jesse Edwards, 6 rebounds off the bench. Quincy Guerrier played just 9 minutes. He had 2 fouls. He's back on the court to start the second half. Same 5 that started the game for the Orange out there again. Back cut by Girard. Nice feed for Guerrier. And Girard missed the 3. If Guerrier caught the ball cleanly, that should have been an easy lay-in. Sebron to Hayes, the all-freshman backcourt. Sloppy pass, batted away by Dolajai. Girard missed the layup, but there was a foul called as he got hit by Jericho Helms.
Unforced error by NC State, allowing Syracuse to get out in transition. Funderburk never even seeing the basketball. The only one that saw was Dolajai. He does a great job tipping it to Buddy, gets it ahead to Girard, unable to finish on the layup, but the contact puts him at the free throw line.
First foul on Helms. Girard has one rim out. 77% for the season, but that's down from 89.4 last year. Six-point game. Syracuse led for most of the first half, led for 16 minutes 45 seconds by as many as 12.
We saw Manny Bates get a number of opportunities in the painted area before against the zone. He was able to knock down jump shots. But I believe that Jim Boeheim will take him having to be the guy that beats them playing in there. Surprised that Jericho Helms did not find his way in there. It's going to be interesting to see how long Coach Keats can go with both bigs on the floor.
Girard called for a reach-in foul, his first. NC State 13-9 overall, 9-8 in conference, but as Coach Keats said at one time they were 8-9 and 4-8 in conference. They've won 5 in a row and have put themselves in position to get into the NCAA tournament conversation if they can rack up a couple of wins here in Greensboro. That's a three for Quincy Guerrier, his second for the sophomore from Montreal. It was third team all conference this season.
And that's the danger again when you're guarding Syracuse and you're paying so much attention to one guy, Buddy Boeheim, normally coming off that screen. You've got to get someone to protect the rim and the roller. You leave Guerrier wide open for the three.
Errant pass as Sebron tried to feed the post. Trying to get it to Jalen Gibson, the freshman who's come in. Guerrier the three. Coach Keats the timeout. And he's taking his team all the way toward the tunnel where they can spread out a little bit. Well, entering the Greensboro Coliseum, the Clemson Tigers, the number 5 seed. They'll take on Miami right after we're finished with this ball game.
Welcome back. Merrick Dolezaj out there battling for Syracuse. He actually has his finger bandage on his left hand that's fractured, but that doesn't stop him. He is one of the toughest players for Syracuse, and he has shown that throughout his career. Oftentimes undersized, but never backs down.
That's for sure. Allison. Alan Griffin the three. And Syracuse has now matched its largest lead of the game.
But right on cue, Allison talking about Dolezaj, and you see a beautiful play made by him on the offensive end of the floor. And his ability to handle the basketball and pass the ball, you see not going into danger and recognizing where the shooters are. Griffin benefits from great ball movement from Dolezaj.
He's 6'10". He came into today with 72 assists, one of 3 players on their team with more than 70. Buddy Boeheim the curl. Girard, a three, their 9th of the game. They average just under 8 per game, and there's a long way to go in this one, more than 17 minutes.
And Sean, the second straight possession where Cam Hayes ending up on the floor cost his team a 3 on the defensive end. Again, as a freshman growing up in this league, it can be tough.
Dolezaj stood in there as if he was going to take the charge. There's just a little bump. And NC State has its first points of the second half. It was 10-0 right out of the gate for the Orange.
And as Cam Hayes is hit with the Guerrier screen, which is a clean screen going down, frees up Joe Girard, knocking down another 3. And Girard up to 8 points now, 9 points actually, doing a very good job offensively in this game and being aggressive.
Foul on Dolezaj, his second. And the 3-point play finished by Sebron. And again, NC State brings pressure.
But the pressure different, just man-to-man pressure in comparison to trying to trap and giving Buddy Boeheim the opportunities in the front court.
Girard, tough shot, nobody around the rim for Syracuse. Good hands on defense. Alan Griffin knocked it away. as they try to jam it into Manny Bates. Sebron, 17 points, 13 rebounds in their win at Notre Dame last week. Helms left wide open from the elbow, missed it, snared by Dolajai. Going for the assist. Boeheim hit another three, and he got fouled by Braxton Beverly.
You cannot come to the party late when Buddy's already going to be there. You've got to make sure that he has no space to get it all. Braxton Beverly trying his best to contest, but Buddy Boeheim, 6'6", doesn't even see Braxton Beverly there until he's contacted with the foul.
And he makes the free throw. He might be on his way to a career day. His career high is 29. That was in their come from behind win in the Dome against Notre Dame when they were down 20 in the second half and rallied to win.
And oftentimes we've seen Buddy get out to having a big first half and going scoreless in the second half, or vice versa. But right now he looks poised to put together two great halves here in the ACC tournament.
Guerrier missed the lay-in off the Girard feed. And an offensive foul called as Shaquille Moore tried to hurry on the counterattack. Frustration starting to build in the Wolfpack. They're down by 16, trying to extend their season for another day. Back at the New York Life ACC tournament, Greensboro, North Carolina. Here's a look at the brackets. Day one action yesterday. Miami, Notre Dame, and Duke the winners. Clemson and Miami next. Then tonight, North Carolina and Notre Dame. Louisville and Duke. The Hurricanes in the house. Talked to Jim Larinaga this morning. Their coach said, you're worried about fatigue playing a deep Clemson team. Might play 11 or 12 men. Jim has 6 scholarship players. Said, we have a lot of energy. We're playing really well right now. And we saw that yesterday. He said maybe in the last 5 minutes he'll think about timeout usage and that sort of thing, but he thinks they'll be ready to go. Depleted but still talented, the Miami Hurricanes.
And of course, Coach Larinaga winning the ACC Tournament Championship in 2013 in this building, so he likes his chances whenever he gets an opportunity to walk into the Greensboro Coliseum.
Guerrier the hoop. He had a double-double in one of their wins against the Wolfpack in the regular season. 10 points, 10 rebounds. That was in their home win. They had 14 and 7 in their win against the Pack in Raleigh.
I often think Guerrier is the forgotten guy when you talk about the talented sophomore class that includes Matthew Hurt, Justin Champagne. Quincy Guerrier, one of those guys also that needs to have mention.
What a block by Alan Griffin. Their leading shot blocker had 7 in their win against Virginia Tech earlier this year. And then he gets called for the over the back off the miss by Girard. That's the first foul on Alan Griffin.
And you see Griffin coming up with a great defensive play and getting Syracuse out in transition.
He is 5th in the ACC in block shots, 1.8 per game. Of course, when you block 7 in a game, that helps the average. Younger brother AJ is a top recruit, top 15 recruit in the country, heading to Duke in the fall. Cam Hayes the miss, and Dolajai bats it out to Girard. Boeheim lost it, thought he was fouled. The layup missed. Sebron was there. It's a neck ball as it's blocked by Dolajai. It'll be NC State ball.
Neck ball? Break that down. I mean, what is a neck ball?
When it gets stuck in the neck. That's a Bill Raftery expression that I have borrowed from him.
Okay, I've always referred to this as a wedgie.
A wedgie, yeah, that works too.
Neck ball is less painful, however.
Helms, the miss, rebounded by Funderburk, and a foul on Quincy Guerrier, his 3rd. Already 4 team fouls on Syracuse, 3 on NC State. We played just more than 5.5 minutes. Second round action at the ACC tournament. Of course, it was a year ago tomorrow that the tournament was rocked, as was the entire world, by COVID-19. Syracuse had its best performance really in the tenure of Jim Boeheim. He said that win over North Carolina last year, which was the last game that was played in the tournament here after they canceled it, was one of the best performances that they've ever had. And they like playing in this building, particularly his son.
There was a lot of talk at that time last year about could North Carolina come into the tournament and win 5 games to make it to the NCAA tournament. Syracuse put all that talk to bed as soon as they stepped on the court that day.
DJ Funderburk's had a quiet day. They get back on that offensive glass. They have 13 offensive rebounds now to 6 for Syracuse. Good hands again. Beverly and the dunk, and here comes a spurt for NC State as Sebron finishes.
And NC State needs points off turnovers to survive. This is a team that feeds off that, and now as they get, you see the defensive energy, the effort level. Kevin Keats almost at half court in a defensive stance of his own, and that's killed by Joe Girard.
Joe Girard back in double figures. 12 points for Girard, the 11th 3 of the game for the Orange. Helms, nice dump down to the dunk for Funderburk.
But the difference with NC State, when you have Helms in that painted area, he is a playmaker, different than Manny Bates, different than DJ Funderburk.
Foul on Helms as they're pressuring in the backcourt. You know, Kevin Keats thought at the beginning of this season.
And you see Helms once again being that playmaker. Funderburk going over the top.
Kevin Keats thought he was going to have his deepest team of his 4 years at NC State, and then of course they had the injuries to Daniels and Allen. I asked him yesterday, can you still play the way you like to press? He said, yeah, but we have to do it judiciously, pick our spots every now and then, back off, give the guys a breather. They're really playing with about 7 men, like Syracuse. Gary, a nice baseline cut, and he gets the bounce.
And with NC State putting so much pressure out in the passing lanes, we've seen Syracuse a number of times go to the backdoor action. Oftentimes it hasn't worked out successfully for points, but yet a great find. And Griffin recognizing exactly where he had to throw the basketball for only his teammate to be able to get it. Guerrier strong enough to finish through the contact and continue to build this Syracuse lead.
And the other end, a foul on Griffin, his second. So Dolajai, Guerrier with 3 each, and Griffin with 2. Clearly trying to establish an inside presence again. Or the Wolfpack. Funderburk made the first free throw. 77.6% for the year, 9th in the ACC. Pretty good from the floor as well. 57% career field goal percentage, second all time at NC State behind Kevin Thompson, who was 58.8 in the early 90s for his field goal percentage. Dolajai goes to work and gets fouled on the way up. They gave him a lot of space in the middle of that defense, and he capitalized.
But with his skill level, he's not a guy that you can just leave by himself, especially against a much smaller defender in Braxton Beverly. Marek Dolajai with the opportunity to attack the basket, and you see Funderburk not wanting to leave because he knows how skilled Dolajai is passing the basketball, but had an easy look to Guerrier.
3 fouls on Beverly, a miss by Dolajai. He's been not quite as good lately from the line. You wonder, even though it's his left hand, if those fingers being wrapped is affecting the free throw shooting. 84%, second in the conference behind Jose Alvarado of Georgia Tech, who had a phenomenal year. Jackets, another team red hot as they arrive in Greensboro. They'll see action tomorrow. Cam Hayes' shot way off and out of bounds. Last touched by Helms.
It's been a Buddy show today. Buddy Boeheim, 24 points, 5 for 8 from 3. Also sharing the sugar, 5 assists for Buddy Boeheim, who has made it a difficult afternoon thus far for Kevin Keatts.
Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. right here on ACCN, exclusive coverage of the Clemson Pro Day from their spectacular indoor practice facility. The Huddle's Jordan Cornett hosts, along with Eric McLean, E.J. Manuel, and Mark Richt. Some of the draft-eligible Tigers showcasing their skills be Travis Etienne and Amari Rogers. Our ESPN NFL draft analyst Jim Nagy, front office executive Mike Tannenbaum will provide insight. That's tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Trevor Lawrence has already had his pro day workout. He will not be participating. I don't think that's going to hurt his draft stock.
I don't believe it will. I think they've already got a slot for him.
Syracuse by 16, 11 and a half to go. Second round action here at the ACC tournament. The winner advances to play Virginia, the #1 seed, regular season champs for the 5th time in the last 8 years. Griffin hoisted one as the shot clock was expiring, and it's a shot clock violation.
Almost 9 minutes played here in the second half. We've yet to see Kadari Richmond or Jesse Edwards, and Edwards very good in the first half, but you talked about it with Syracuse being able to stay out of foul trouble. Jim Boeheim been able to keep his guys on the floor. Dolezaj in the middle, as well as Guerrier, who missed a lot of the action in the first half with the 2 fouls.
Nice bounce pass by Hayes, and Funderburk fouled. For a very quiet first half, he's emerged. Guerrier and Griffin questioning the call. They're giving it to Guerrier, and that's his 4th.
And of course, we bring it up, and all of a sudden he picks up that 4th foul, but Guerrier comes across with both hands up. I'm not sure he was the guy that should get that foul, if there should be a foul on anyone, because he went straight up vertically. And so that's legal for Guerrier. I understand his frustration having to go to the bench on picking up that.
Funderburk rattles the first one home.
But you see Guerrier coming over, he goes straight up. You can't be any more vertical than that.
That's a bad call.
He doesn't have either hand down to be able to get to the body.
Second one long.
Well, my boys at home right now. Shout out Roscoe, a.k.a. Rasheed Wallace, saying ball don't lie, because don't believe that was a foul.
Terrible pass by Girard, intercepted. And the Wolfpack perhaps about to make a run. Elbow shot missed. That would have been big for Hayes. Continue a little momentum. Funderburk there, the big guy, 6'10", right out there on Buddy Boeheim on the catch, and he's going to stay with him.
Yeah, great recognition by Buddy, though, and seeing that with that being a bigger defender, he may not have been able to get that shot off, passing up that opportunity.
Whoops, Boeheim dribbled it off his foot. Shot clock down to 5. Alan Griffin, Braswell's open, awkward catch, and he still made the 3 from the corner. First points of the game for Robert Braswell. Syracuse has made 12 threes, and the lead is 18.
They give Braswell credit for recognizing the shot clock going down. He had to get that shot up, even though he didn't catch it cleanly. Still got a great look.
This is the largest lead. Bates improved offensively. Nice pass, and Funderburk fouled by Braswell.
Alan Griffin in attack mode recognizes the help, and even though he can't get a clean pass over to Braswell with great presence of mind to know the shot clock, knocking down the corner 3.
That's a lot of pressure. It was an awkward pass. You know the shot clock's about to expire, and he still made the shot. He's had an interesting year, Braswell, from behind the arc as Funderburk scores again. He started out 0 for 12, then made 4 out of 5 in a game against Pitt when he had his career high 12 points. And he's 6 for 25 since entering today.
And that could play with your confidence quite a bit. I mean, of course, not yours, and definitely not mine. However, when you start out 0 for 12, you might want to think about whether you really should be shooting threes.
Well, they say he makes them in practice. It all adds up to 24% for the year.
Practice? We talking about practice?
He's 1 for 2 today, so that percentage going up. Dolezaj the roll, and Gerard found him for the dunk.
But Sean, that was created by the fact that Buddy Boeheim on the opposite side of the floor, no North Carolina State defender wants to leave him, so no one rotates over to take away the free run for Dolezaj.
Shaquille Moore rattles home a 3. The 7th made by the Wolfpack today. And the 2nd by Moore, who has 6 points. In a building right down the street from where his family lives. He had never been to an ACC game as a kid, but had played here. Count the bucket for Braswell as he was on his way to the floor, and he still made it.
And Sean, you mentioned how well Syracuse played to start out the ACC tournament last year. I believe this performance may match it, getting so much contribution for so many different guys. And you see the bottom guy, Cam Hayes, does not want to come over and leave Buddy Boeheim wide open in the corner, giving Marek Dolezaj a free run to the rim.
And Braswell finishes the 3-point play. Funderburg's foul, his first, the 6th for NC State. So on the next foul for the Pack, both teams will be over the limit with more than 8.5 to go. Good split by Beverly. And now Braswell whistled as he bumped into Manny Bates, the redshirt sophomore, prolific shot blocker. And Bates, as we said, improving offensive player, up to 9.3 points per game. He had 17 and 14 in their loss at Syracuse. His only double-double this season.
And Manny Bates, 0 block shots on the day. North Carolina State, 0 block shots on the day. So a lot of that has had to do with the fact that Syracuse has been able to space the floor so very well and keep Bates out of any action right at the rim.
Bates on his way to leading the ACC in block shots for the 2nd year in a row. 6th in the country this year at just under 3 block shots per game. He has the Pack back within 16. And Alan Griffin nicely down the lane. Kellums, Braxton Beverly, out of bounds off Dolezaj. And you wonder if that's an instance where if he could have grabbed the ball with 2 hands, he might have secured it. He can't believe he didn't.
Well, he only needed 1 hand on this play. Marek Dolezaj only using 1 to finish at the rim. Syracuse rolling.
Things get personal in the ACC. So personal that every squad is competing for the same thing. The right to be heard. United, we ball.
Unity has been the focus for the ACC and their newly formed Committee for Racial Equity. Their focus on helping athletes work and achieve racial and social equality, and they wanted to carry that message onto the basketballs in use here in Greensboro. On the right, the practice basketballs with that United logo, and then the game balls all have the ACC United We Ball slogan, so that every basketball used here in Greensboro carries that message of unity.
A great message it is. Another block for Alan Griffin. Syracuse with an 18-point lead, 7.5 to go. Back cut and finish by Griffin.
And it's been there all afternoon long for Syracuse. Kadari Richmond got a tongue lashing, we'll call it, from Jim Boeheim in the first half for faking the backdoor, which you never do. But since then, Syracuse has taken so much advantage of the pressure NC State is playing in those passing lanes.
There's another beautiful pass by Dolezaj. He has 4 assists. Boeheim left open. 27 for Buddy Boeheim. 7 here in the second half.
And that is an example of actually going over and taking away the guy rolling to the basket. The reason why NC State didn't want to do it early, because you leave the hottest man in the ACC tournament thus far wide open.
He is 27, too shy of his career high. Nice drive by Cam Hayes, and he's fouled. Chance for 3 for the Pack.
Strong finish by Cam Hayes. And Cam Hayes, highly recruited guard coming to NC State, has played his best basketball over the past 5 games. And he is in the likes of the Jeremy Roaches, the DJ Stewarts, all the high-name guys coming in, reclassed up to be the starting point guard for NC State this season. He's playing a lot better down the stretch, but this has not been his best game here on his home court in Greensboro Coliseum.
Greensboro Day School. He was fired up yesterday during their practice in the building. He was their highest ranked recruit in this freshman class, top 75 consensus recruit. Kevin Keats thinks he has 3 more good players coming next year. The fadeaway by Griffin and the soft touch. He's one of 4 Syracuse players in double figures, now with 12.
And everyone else has been able to get involved in the action in the second half after Buddy carried the Orange in the first half.
Bates has room. 6'11" out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Dolajai the rebound. And we talked about Syracuse being on the bubble, and certainly this is an impressive performance against a red-hot team. When I spoke with Jim Boeheim yesterday, he said, I really hope we get in, because the way we're playing now, we are capable of beating a lot of teams. And I think they're living up to those words today.
I believe, I agree with Coach Boeheim, and I'm with you on that. When you consider the fact that they're on a 2-game winning streak coming in, beating North Carolina and Clemson, 2 teams that are considered in the field right now. I think this win right here for Syracuse, they're able to finish it off up 22, would definitely bode well in the eyes of the committee.
What did I tell you a week ago Monday night that typically happens with a lead with about 5 minutes to go? The air will come out of the ball.
You have watched more than enough Syracuse basketball, my friend, to recognize that, and we get opportunity to look at Syracuse's resume. But you look at the net at 49, the quad 1, and that is the concern. Syracuse has dominated the quad 2, quad 3 wins. The quad 1, 1-6. However, if you get an opportunity to go up against Virginia tomorrow, you get a win there, I think that this conversation's over.
Well, Jim Boeheim's point, as Sebron committed a foul and Girard's at the line, was it's not a great year at the top of the ACC. There's not the powerhouse team or 2 or 3 where you say they have a great chance to get to the Final Four. He said, but there's 10 or 11 really good teams. Duke is the 10th seed in this tournament. So he said any of those 10 that you beat, those are terrific wins.
I agree, including 9 NC State. And that makes coming in and playing very good basketball, passing the eye test down the stretch in the regular season.
Kellums, time running down on this NC State season. Nice play by Manny Bates, who was on the all-defensive team in the ACC. 5-man squad. 3rd in the voting for the Defensive Player of the Year, behind Jose Alvarado and Virginia's Jay Huff.
Got a little bit of a problem with the all-ACC defensive team, though, Sean.
Why is that?
No Kihei Clark. And Kihei Clark, who basically took Carlik Jones out of the ACC Player of the Year running in the regular season finale at Louisville. How does he not?
You can only have 5.
Somebody got to go.
Who are you going to take off?
As much as I love him, Jordan Goldwire. When teams score 91, 93, 91 against you, and a guy's going for 21 in the first half, and Caleb Love goes off on you both times, it's hard to say that guy belongs on the defense.
Do you want to sing the Virginia fight song now, or do you want to break into it a little bit later on?
I learned it from the best. You showed me how to do this earlier in the first half.
That's right. The Harvard of Central New York. They have those drinking games on the number of times that I will say it. In the course of a game, Dolajai, they thought it was still on the rim. Should have been a goaltend, not called. Under 4 minutes to go. Offensive foul. Once again, it's Dolajai throwing his body into harm's way. ACC Network basketball brought to you by New York Life, helping people act on their love for 175 years. Now, Nothing But Net crew will be here all day and night. Previews, and after the games, they'll have highlights and analysis, post-game interviews right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. It was very entertaining. Not only watch you and Dave O'Brien yesterday, but watch Kelsey and the crew back in the studio. Clemson Tigers watching the end of this one on a TV monitor back by the locker room, getting ready to take the floor to take on Miami in the second game of 4 here in round 2 at the New York Life ACC tournament.
Syracuse 7 for 8 in the second half from beyond the three-point line. It's hard to beat anyone when they shoot the basketball this way. 13 of 22 for the game for them. And of course, we saw Duke knock down 15 threes yesterday. And I'm starting to believe that the teams in the ACC like shooting in this building.
Seem to be very friendly rims.
I believe my first ACC tournament game was in this building, and I think I went 5 for 20. The rims were not friendly to me that game.
Probably not the same rims. Well, you never know. Boeheim, the miss. Boy, Gary, they gave him a lot of room. Boeheim missed again. He's made 6 threes, tying his season high, 1 shy of his career high. He's up to 202 threes for his career. He moved past Lawrence Moten in 7th place all time. Oh boy, he might be running out of gas.
Well, you can tell that this is by design. The Syracuse bench knows that Buddy is right off his career high, and they know about the three-point shooting. So they are trying to get him that 3 ball for 30.
And the most points a Syracuse player has had in an ACC tournament game is 28 by Frank Howard. Buddy is 27. They wanted to get him, I think, to his first career 30-point game.
And Buddy got 3 shots at it. He didn't hit any of them, and he had to exit.
Coach, at this point, more important to get rest for tomorrow's game against Virginia. They talk about records that might never be broken. The all-time mark for three-pointers made at Syracuse is 400 by that man, Jerry McNamara, now an assistant coach. That's 118 more than anybody else in Syracuse history, more than Andy Rauten's. I said to Jerry a couple weeks ago, pass the ball. And he said, hey, look it up. I had a lot of assists, and he did. He also had 648 assists, 3rd all-time behind Sherman Douglas and Jason Hart. And he is a rising star in coaching. He's done a lot of work coaching Buddy Boeheim.
And if I were Jerry and you said that to me, I would have asked you why. When you consider he's made 400 threes, why would he pass it? And who else is a better option than Jerry shooting the basketball? I've gone through that list before. It's Jerry McNamara and everyone else. But if Buddy Boeheim takes advantage of the NCAA ruling that allows this year really to not count against him in eligibility, and stays 2 more years in Syracuse, he may have a shot.
Well, only Jerry McNamara got to 180 threes made faster than Buddy Boeheim, who did it in 80 games. I think this is going to be a shocking development, but Buddy Boeheim is our Zaxby's player of the game with 27 points. 6 for 12 from 3, and of course he missed 3 in that row in that late flurry. He plays a lot of minutes, 36 minutes a game, among the leaders nationally. 1:55 to go. So it'll be the end of the North Carolina State season. Again, credit to them. You know, they could have folded up the tent the way it was going when they got beat up by Syracuse and Duke. Rallied to win 5 in a row, but can't see any path to them now.
Well,
the tournament.
There is a possibility, however, that they play in the NIT, which will have 16 teams this year instead of the traditional 32. So as a
13-10, 9-9 in league action. We're going to play the entire NIT in Texas. Joseph Girard, 86 points for the Orange. It'll be their 3rd straight win. And I remember we were there a week ago Monday when they were playing North Carolina, team they had lost 10 out of 11 to. And everybody said, well, they're dead. You know, no chance, not even on the bubble. But you can never count them. You can never take them off the bubble, right? You can stomp on them and they keep bouncing back up.
I believe that Coach Boeheim is comfortable there. If you've ever found a coach that is comfortable on the bubble, it would be Jim Boeheim, who studies bracketology probably as much as Joe Lunardi does. When you think about the way that he goes about watching basketball and studying this stuff, he's
When I talked to him yesterday, he had all the numbers on how many quad so-and-so wins they had. You know, he said Drake has 16 quad 4 wins and they're in. I mean, come on. So he said, I think if the tournament started yesterday, this was when we were conversing, I think the committee would put us in. And as you said, he knew the resume for every one of those teams around the bubble.
I can remember being at the ACC tournament a few years ago and everyone thinking that Syracuse wasn't going to get in. They get in and they happen to go to the Final Four. So I think that Coach Boeheim has a bit of equity with the committee, but this win definitely helps his case.
Now 76 years old, Jim Boeheim. You know, he was talking about the quad 1 wins, and he said that they got a little bit of the raw deal there because they lost 2 home games against Florida State and Louisville, and they were 13-1. They lost them off the schedule, not lost the games. They did not play those games because of COVID. You know, that's 2 great opportunities in a building where they were 13-1 this year to put up quad 1 wins.
And you think about the home versus road disparity. Look at what Florida State was at home in comparison to the road. And same thing with North Carolina. Those are 2 teams in the field. And I'm sure that the committee will have to take that into consideration when they look at the overall resume of these teams.
Under a minute to go. Braswell's been a factor off the bench today. You talk about streaky 3-point shooters and confidence making a difference. That's another 3 for Braswell. 2 out of 3 from beyond the arc.
And Braswell getting into his bag, going off the dribble, a little bit of a push off, a little bit of a step back, but more than enough to pick up the 14th 3 for the Orange.
He has 11 points, 1 shy of his career high in that game against Pitt we mentioned earlier this year. Kevin Keats telling his team not to foul, and their season will end at 13-10 unless they get into the NIT. Syracuse will go to 16-8 and advance to take on Virginia. Small contingent of Syracuse fans here showing their appreciation. Government of North Carolina allowing 2,500 fans into this big building. Syracuse had a 5-point lead at the half, but they opened the second half with a 10-0 run and were never really seriously challenged. 5 Syracuse players in double figures, led by Buddy Boeheim with 27, Girard at 14, Griffin and Gary at 12 apiece, and Braswell 11. So Syracuse will take on Virginia. We did a matchup between those 2 on a big Monday in Charlottesville in late January, and Virginia poured it on them, 81-58.
I'm sure Jim Boeheim and his group looking forward to another opportunity against the top seed in the ACC tournament.
The coach's son, the star. Thank God he looks like his mom, Julie Boeheim. Coming up next, the second game of the day, Clemson and Miami. We'll be back shortly, but now let's send you back to the studio. Here's Nothing But Net.
Sean and Corey, thanks Folks, welcome into Nothing But Net alongside Carlos Boozer, Luke Hancock, and Dallin Cuff. I'm Kelsey Riggs. Syracuse cruises to an 89-68 win over NC State, their third time beating the Wolfpack this season. As you take a look at the updated bracket now, the updated bubble watch rather right now, Syracuse, they were in the group of first four out already, but that moved them up 2 spots according to Joe Lunardi. So they are the next one on the bubble of the first four out, Dallin, and something to certainly keep an eye on is that Xavier game tonight.
Yeah, Xavier Butler tonight is an important game. Also, Boise State playing Nevada in the first round of the Mountain West tournament. So the Mountain West has 3 teams you see on that graphic: Boise State, Colorado State, Utah State. You obviously want those teams to perform poorly, as well as Xavier to lose to Butler. If Xavier falls, then Syracuse will move up per Lunardi after this performance. You could understand why, and they have a massive opportunity in the next game against UVA.
According to ESPN's BPI, Syracuse now up to an 88% chance to make the tournament with that win over NC State. Luke, when you see what Syracuse did today, I mean, do you think they look like a tournament team?
Certainly. I thought the zone did a great job of slowing down NC State's offense. Dallin mentioned this at half. They didn't seem to have the right guys at that high post area to help facilitate that offense, get everybody involved. They actually did a pretty good job on the offensive rebounds, just couldn't finish in the paint enough. I know Syracuse was in some foul trouble, but I thought the zone really stifled NC State's offense. They never looked like they were in rhythm, and when NC State tried to speed up Syracuse, they made them pay almost every time. Once you get Buddy Boeheim in that kind of rhythm, there is no stopping that guy. He was in fuego, but he is going to kick himself missing one of those last 3 three-point attempts to get to 30.
Yeah, Buddy was terrific the whole first half, did a great job the second half. Honestly, the offense was spread out on Syracuse the whole second half. Did a great job of setting that tone in the first half. And to Luke's point, their zone, it worked. I mean, basically you had NC State guys taking tough shots, contested shots. They did do a decent job, a good job on the offensive glass, but they couldn't capitalize with more buckets. They needed more stops on the defensive side, lead them out in the transition, and that lead just continued to grow. Syracuse advances, and they got a great opportunity here. I mean, they get a chance to play that solid defense against a very good Virginia team. They may have a shot to beat them, and then they're in for sure. But I think Syracuse is definitely a tournament team.
Yeah, we'll get to that Virginia game in just a second. But, Dallin, when you look at Syracuse right now, they've won 6 of the last 8 games, 3 straight right now. What do you like about what you're seeing from the Orange?
Well, they're playing really well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that their resume is reflective of a tournament team. So when you look at their resume, they have some things they need to shore up, if you will, and primarily it's the quad 1 performance. Now, Jim Boeheim would tell you all 6 of those losses are all road losses. Obviously, it's harder to win on the road. How their schedule broke and how some cancellations, they didn't have some of the more quality teams come up to play in the Carrier Dome, so they didn't have some home games against some better teams that would have maybe been quad 2, potentially quad 1 wins. They only got 1, but they do have that huge opportunity tomorrow against UVA. And when you look at their comparison with other teams around them, the Xaviers, the Boise States, the Utah States, they need quality wins. So just it's a gift and a curse. You get to play UVA, but you got to beat UVA, who carved them up last time we saw them play. And one of the more impressive offensive performances, UVA just destroyed that zone. So they got to figure out how to keep Kihei Clark out of the high post and deal with that. That's a conversation I'm sure we'll have down the road here. But this is a big opportunity. Really, if they win this game, they're in a good spot. But you got to win the game.
So pleased to be here with Jim Boeheim, Buddy Boeheim, a family affair for Syracuse after a terrific performance against NC State. Coach, I'll start with you. What are you most pleased with how your team came out and performed in a much-needed game?
You know, our defense got better in the second half. We struggled a little bit the first half, but our defense has been better in the last games, North Carolina, Clemson. That's what kind of turned it around, and we've been making more shots. You know, everybody, Buddy today, but Joe made some. And, you know, we've been playing well. We've been moving the ball. This is the best. I mean, we played pretty well at the end of the year, but this is, you know, the best. And I've got a lot of respect for NC State. They come in here with 5 straight wins, 3 of them on the road. So, you know, they're a really good team. And both teams played great the first half, and it's a close game. The second half, we just started right out and made 4 threes in a row, and that's, you know, that's going to hurt anybody, I think. But, you know, Buddy's been good all year, and Joe has struggled, but today Joe and Buddy were good. We had them both going, and it was we just played well on both ends of the court against a really good team. Really proud of these guys.
buddy. Coach mentioned how well you shot the ball today. It continues a strong shooting performance for you of late. You had 20 in the first half, finished with 27. What is it like for you when you're in that zone out there and shots are falling?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, probably the best part about it is my teammates are looking for me and they're like, get buddy open, get him a shot. And it's a lot of fun when you have teammates like that and guys that, know when you're hot that you can keep going and get going. And they did a great job finding me, and I give all the credit to them.
Was there a spot on the floor you were extra comfortable today, that free throw line extended?
Just anywhere. I mean, I like the wings a lot, so I got a lot of wing threes, and just getting into my pull-up after that, getting in the paint, making plays, and just having fun out there.
Coach, what do you think a win like this can do for your NCAA tournament hopes?
I think we've won a lot of games, a lot of 2 and 3s. The thing that hurt us, all our quadrant 1 games this year were on the road. We didn't play a home quadrant 1 game. We've got a lot of 2s that are 34, 38, 40, those guys. But, we just didn't get any of them at home. We had the 2 quadrant 1 games at home canceled. But we've been consistent all year. I think we've got a really good team, and I think we can beat some people.
I know when you're out here on the court, it's coach and player. But as father and son, when it's in a tournament, and you grew up going to so many tournaments, whether in the Big East or the ACC, watching your dad from the stands, are you guys able to enjoy that part of it as well a little bit?
Yeah, for the most part, definitely. I mean, it's just been a dream come true for me, and the ups and downs, everything. I appreciate it all, and never take this for granted. And
how special is it for you, Jim?
It's great. I mean, I look at him as a player during the games and everything. Practice. When I get home, I think about it. I'm very proud of him, like all fathers are. You're coaching your son, but he's a player, and so it's a tough little thing there. But it's been very fun, a lot of fun, and of course, it's more fun when the ball goes in the basket, right, Bud?
It certainly did today. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.